Hello, hello, hello. Hello, friends. Hello. Oh, there's already people on. This is great. I am live today and talking about nurses hurting women in labor. Ugh. I know. Have you ever been hurt in a hospital by a provider or by a nurse? Or are you a nurse or a provider who's like, hold on, this must be a Halloween joke? Keep watching. I have figured out how that does not have to be true anymore. We can be done with all of that. Okay. Now, I'll go through some of that. So keep watching and welcome. I am live today. It is Halloween. I am Mandy Irby, the birth nurse. And if you are new, thank you for joining me. Consider subscribing because here I help busy people prepare to birth boldly because I believe our bodies are powerful and with the right support, we are unstoppable. And I want you to be the parent that you want to be, but we cannot help our babies be amazing, unstoppable people if we're completely broken by birth. So that's why I'm here. Consider subscribing. I am going live every Wednesday and during the fall to try to just change it up. And I'm answering questions. Usually I go live on my Facebook page, The Birth Nurse, after this, but I won't be doing that today. It's Halloween. Ta-da! And I'm helping in my kids' class. I just finished that and I got to go pick them up and we got some trick-or-treating. We got some things. So I can't go live. So if you have questions, put them in the comments right now. I want to hear about them. I've already started a conversation. So add to that if you're here live. Thank you so much. And a like if this is helpful, helps me know what you want more of. So I am a labor and delivery nurse, Lamaze childbirth educator, mother of two, survivor of assault, survivor of birth trauma, a few things. I got a few things going on and I've helped thousands of people families have babies. I am here because I heard of something very recently that just stopped me in my tracks. And I have been a labor and delivery nurse for 10 years. So if you are a nurse or a birth pro watching, let me know. I want to see who's here and who's part of the conversation. Hey guys, I already see some people going on. Hey, Dula from Alabama. Hey, Kara. Okay, that is awesome because I thought when people went home, when I'll just say women, but I know when birthing people go home and they've had a healthy baby or they're healthy themselves or they've kind of had the birth that they were hoping for, I just thought that it was such a win. Like I thought they went home feeling on top of the world and they loved their baby immediately and they had all these amazing things going on, right? We see that in the movies. And then it happened to me and I was wrecked. And that really upset me as like in my profession. Like, what the heck? Have I been sending people home that are wrecked or is this just me? Does this actually happen? Because they don't come back and say, Mandy, I was completely wrecked and you were a part of it. Like they don't come back and tell me that. So what else was I supposed to think until I experienced it personally? And I've been on a mission to figure that out. Like, what the hell is going on? I was not in the birth circles before I had a baby. Maybe it's different for you. Maybe you're already doing your research or that's how you found me. But I was not like that. I did not have a lot of friends who had kids. So I was completely like hit by this wall of this sucks. And that was hard. And I was disappointed and hurt and sad and confused and all these awful emotions. In addition to like, I loved my baby and I was so like surprised by how amazing he was. It was also really hard and I was also really tired and wrecked. So I've been on a mission. Then I read, and I don't really remember where I read it, but I read somewhere and it just shook me that the words used in labor, while I know they are important and I know they stick with people because when I hear birth stories, they remember, then my nurse said to me, and it can be positive or it can be negative. Or their provider. This is my midwife said to me. She looked in my eyes and said to me, or whatever. Or they hear other people talking about them, even if it wasn't directly to them. So I know there's like this open space during birth, and I know words are powerful. So I thought I was being very careful and trying to be very empathetic and compassionate. When I read that the words nurses and birth professionals use with women in labor could hurt them, like emotionally traumatize them. I was like, yeah, that's other nurses, right? That's other people that aren't as good. Like, who do I think I am? But that was other people. That wasn't me. And then I started reading more, and they are words and phrases that sound like or are exactly the same as those used by perpetrators. I couldn't even believe it. I was completely torn up by that because I had the best intentions and I might have said things that totally wrecked someone on accident. The things that take control of the situation, even in really great, like loving intentions, because I don't think that people generally go into healthcare wanting to hurt people. Maybe, but really, I don't believe it. I think that their intentions are good, but that still doesn't make it okay. It still doesn't make it sound good. So, okay, trigger warning. It's about to happen. It's about to go down. If you're watching and you don't want to hear these words, turn it off. Fast forward to the end when you're watching on the replay. Okay. Um, and I see, I see another doula and I see a childbirth educator and a doula. Hey guys. All right. That's your trigger warning. You are going to hear words. If you don't want to hear them, you're going to hear about birth trauma. If you don't want to hear it, stay tuned for later when I talk about the fix and the solution. Okay, so words like spread your knees and just relax. Okay, that's a pretty obvious one, but that can be or have been said by someone who took control over a person in a negative way or an abusive way. Hold still, relax. Relax and this will go faster. What are you afraid of? This doesn't have to hurt if, or why won't you let me, whatever, do the exam or help you? Why won't you let me help you? Those things. Okay. So to me, they sounded like words that maybe someone would use that wasn't like having a great day, but I've heard them and I hear them every day. I have said some of these things. I realized I was hurting people, the same people that I then became after having a baby. So my mission, how the hell do we fix this? And it's so much bigger than child abuse, than history of assault. It's not one thing or one type of person. Everyone has been affected by trauma. Everyone has had loss. Everyone has been taken, either felt like they lost control or their boundaries were overstepped. And this can affect someone in such an open place like labor. So I'm here to talk about the solution because I have learned the solution. I just am like reeling. I'm still coming down from my trip to Seattle. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you saw kind of the behind the scenes, or on Facebook, I put up stories on the birth nurse. And if you're not there, go there because it's fun. And generally I'll like post like a bunch at one time. And then right now, like radio silence because of family stuff. But I just went to Seattle to have some more training. And I think it's my path. So I just keep going and keep moving forward with it, even though I wasn't quite sure what I was going to learn. And I wasn't quite sure how it was going to relate to what I'm doing, helping people prepare to birth boldly, helping busy people. Well, if you've ever felt those feelings from labor, from birth, or in the hospital, in the medical area, you know how deep that goes into you and how being confused, being sad, feeling unheard or unseen, weak or disappointed by your care, disappointed by your experience. These are forever experiences. These are things that go into your core and I felt like that they made me the parent that I was going to be. They were the beginning of that story and they were a part of me. So you know how important that is. And you know how that just follows you, whether you want it to or not. I just kept thinking and thinking and thinking about this and wondering when I had labor patients, like, are you going to be that person like I was? Are you going to be broken by this? Even though I'm telling you you're strong and I'm telling you you're mighty and I'm telling you you're already a great parent and I'm giving you all the reasons, are you going to go home and not believe me and remember the things I said that maybe triggered you and I didn't even know, or activated you and I didn't even know? So it just kept with me. And in June, if you've seen my story about going to Seattle and kind of going through my own assault history and birth process and processing, then you saw that Penny Simkin, who is this world-renowned doula, childbirth educator, physical therapist, told me I'll see you in October at a When Survivors Give Birth Educator workshop. It was intense, the most intensive workshop I've ever been to. Some of the most intense days, it was 4 days of this. When Survivors Give Birth is what it's called. And it's modeled after the book that she and Phyllis Klaus wrote about caring for assault survivors or people with a traumatic history or any sort of trauma in the past and around the perinatal period. So when they are pregnant, give birth, and postpartum. And it was incredible, but it was really intense. And I learned a lot. So I learned that it's bigger than childhood abuse. It's bigger than those things, but that there are some strategies to help. So this wrapped up in pregnancy can look like pregnancy anxiety and is pregnancy anxiety. So I am now kind of dabbling in strategy sessions. So coming up with strategies that work for your specific thing. So like whatever's keeping you stuck and you're afraid of this the most in birth, like whatever your thing is, if you think about it and you just flash to that one fear or those 5 fears, there are pregnancy anxiety strategy sessions. And I cannot wait. My first one's next week. So it happens like constantly. I'm hearing of stories and emails and questions of fears, and all these fears are wrapped up into I'm terrified of having a baby. I'm terrified of giving birth. I'm so afraid of whatever it is, X. And it's so common. So hear me, please hear me. If you have a fear of having your baby, it is so common. And if you've been hurt by having a baby, that is also very common. This does not mean that these things are normal and that they can't be overcome. So then there's that birth trauma processing. And I cannot wait to get into that of, what are the actual things that led to the feelings that you're having, how they are okay and normal according to what you just experienced and your past. Now, how do you move forward with it so that you can be an amazing parent? And I'm so happy that there are actual strategies to help each person confront those demons, because the baby has to come out. Like the baby has to come out. And I meet so many families who are like, yeah, like in labor, like they're going to have a baby in 6 hours type. And they're like, yeah, I'm not ready for this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we have so much work to do in 6 hours. It's just so much in the labor room. But to me now, what I've learned, like you can have a one-on-one conversation with someone who's been trained in like these triggers and these strategies and how to cope, and then making them very individualized for the person. And it's actually doable. Like in pregnancy, you can start working and practicing and doing homework and coming up with all of these tools in your toolbox. Like I love my labor toolbox in Lamaze. And in my course, we talk about filling that toolbox to the brim with so many different types of things. You never know what you're going to want. So you just fill it and fill it and fill it and fill it. Well, it's the same for this specific, like that was for being ready for labor. This is for conquering your demons, and doing it in pregnancy is so much better than doing it in the labor room, right? Because you're like, oh my gosh, the baby has to come out. What am I going to do? And then also teaching providers and nurses how our words can really shape someone's experience, even if we have the best intentions behind them, how to kind of see that happening, and then how to like rein it in and how to bring that person back into their reality and still have an empowering and powerful experience. It can actually happen. And I really see myself like standing in front of large groups of doctors and nurses and midwives and anesthesiologists and pediatricians and lactation consultants and doulas, and just being like, guys, like this is something we're not talking about, but it's doable. We can do this. So that really excites me if you cannot tell. I'm so excited. I'm already taking clients and I don't even have it up on my site. So let me know, email me or go to my site, mandyirby.com, and contact me on the contact me page. The next video that's after this to watch is going to be like in one of these corners. I'm going to put there if you're not live, and you're going to go watch my story. So my interaction with my doctor and how that changed my perspective on birth plans. I will see you there. And I also have a question before I go. So I haven't been here yet. Doctor's pushing me not to have a natural birth. I've had a medicated birth last time. I just want a natural birth. So Mommy A. Cole, thank you. And while that's not a question, I hear that a lot. And that is the taking control away. You felt, it sounds like, see, I learned something. It sounds like you felt like your control was taken away, or your autonomy, your power was taken away because they pushed you to not have a natural birth. So something that they said or did, or said and did over and over, some repeated experiences during your labor or your pregnancy, made you feel like you had to do something that you didn't plan to do going in. And while as a labor nurse, I know that things change. Pregnancy and birth are such a wild roller coaster ride. Like you can be like, okay, and parenthood, geez. I'm owning this, I'm doing it, and then like boom, something happens, or you go to the doctor and get this result, or someone says something to you and you're like, oh. So I know you can't just be like, yes, this is how it's going to go on my birth plan or preferences or whatever you call it, on my plan of how I want things to go, because I know my mind maybe isn't going to be in like the same zone that I'm in when I'm thinking about birth. And that's totally normal. And that's like the natural way of things. Like you're just up here in labor. And then things change and you make different decisions. But if you felt like that decision was taken away from you, that is different. And that increases that fear during your second pregnancy, or like, could I do that again? I don't want to feel that tiny. And I totally know how tiny feels. I felt like like the tiniest pinhead size of a person when I found out that my words were harming people, or, potentially harming people, saying things that could have taken them back to a very bad place while they were having a baby, while it was their biggest day. And I had the power in one sentence to just boop, take them back to that horrible, horrible memory or thought or flash. I felt like the tiniest. So I know what it feels like to feel tiny. And I know you do not want to go back there, and you will do everything you can to never feel like that again. And so these sessions, these strategy sessions, now it's going to turn into a course, and it's going to be like, you don't have to talk one-on-one. You don't have to go on Skype. It doesn't have to be like that in the future. But until I can get that out there, it's one-on-one, and it's like doing dirty work, the hard stuff before it comes up, because it'll come up. It'll come up. It'll come up while you're breastfeeding. It'll come up when someone says something about your parenting style. It will come up when you see your baby in a certain way, or doing a certain thing, or someone has a reaction to them. It will come up, because this is such a crucial life change when you're having a baby and growing a family, and just emotionally, physically, as a unit. If you have a partner, if you have family members you're living with or that are helping you, everything changes, and you can't control all of it. But that strategy session during pregnancy, or right after you have your baby and you're processing your traumatic birth, can give you power over when are you going to process through this stuff, because we've all got stuff, and what are those tools going to look like moving forward. And they're tools that you take for a lifetime. So, I think that's just, I'm like over the moon. I am so excited to have tools. I'm like a doer. I love lists. I love planning. So this is totally me stuff. If it's you, let me know down below. And question today, what's my question? What scares you about the hospital? If you're giving birth in a hospital, if you have ever been to the hospital, if you've had family in the hospital, what scares you? Let me know down below. We all have our things, and I'll start the conversation with my comment as well. Thank you so much for interacting. Thank you for the questions. I will see you in the next video. My story on how my birth plan changed with my provider and my last birth. And I'll see you next Wednesday. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye. Happy Halloween. End stream. Yes, I want to end it. Yes, bye. Let's go.